How's it going, Pokemon fans? Shane back here from JollyMonz, and today we're going to take a look at some expanded, since San Jose was just about a week ago for me. Maybe less, maybe a lot more by the time you see this. But anyway, one of the most popular decks in San Jose was Night March featuring Zoroark-GX. So Zoroark was getting a lot of hype heading into this event due to its prominence in Japan with Lycanroc. However, I know some people were talking about it with Night March, but it didn't seem to be super hyped. Though the deck performed very well. A lot of the top American players were on this list. Azul, Rahul Reddy, and Michael Premawat, I believe, all made top 8 playing a variance of this. I know Bradley Curcio did pretty well as well. So a lot of big names are on this deck. So without further ado, we're going to start taking a look at it. First up, we've got 3 Shaman EX, simply for that setup ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you can draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. So in a deck like Night March, where we're just spamming, this helps us get to the pieces that we need to set up big KOs. So Sky Return's also nice in a deck like this, where our bench space can be a little bit tight. Return this Pokemon and all cards attached to it to our hand, and it does 30 damage. So with a choice band, this does 60, can help us set up for future knockouts, gets it off our bench, makes it less of a liability, and can get us some more Zoroarks or things of that nature onto the bench. So 3 of these. Now we are playing 2 Zorua from Shining Legends, simply because of the DCE required Ram attack. It just gives us a viable attack on the Zorua, even though we'll probably rarely ever use it. 2 Zoroark-GX for the trade ability. Once during your turn before your attack, you can discard a card from your hand, and if you do, draw 2 cards. So again, this just helps with Night March getting to the pieces that it needs. And then Zoroark's also a valued attacker with the Righteous Beating attack for a DCE. This attack does 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in play. With Night March, you're probably going to have at least 4 bench Pokemon most of the time, if not a full bench. So you're looking at least 100, if not 120, 150 with a choice band. So Zoroark can get in some really nice KOs or help set you up for some really nice KOs. And with 210 HP, he's not exactly easy to knock out himself. So, 1 Marshadow GX for that Shadow Hunt ability. You can use the attack of any basic Pokemon in your discard pile. So with a DCE and a Joltik in your discard, he's a Night Marcher with 150 HP. That takes care of other Zoroarks, Darkrai, Trampa, all that fun stuff. So Marshadow's great. And then, of course, we have our Night Marchers. 4 Joltik for the DCE Night March attack. Does 20 damage times the number of Pokemon in your discard pile that have the Night March attack. Joltik's your main attacker, simply because he only requires DCE. We have Lampent, who is never going to be your attacker. It's simply there to throw in the discard pile, since it is a Stage 1. And Punkaboo, who has Night March but costs 3. So Dimension Valley is going to allow us to attack with Punkaboo. However, most of the time you will be attacking with Joltik. So, and last but not least for the Pokemon, 1 Tapu Lele for that Wonder Tag ability, where you play the Pokemon from your hand onto your bench. During your turn, you can search your deck for support a card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Just goes and grabs us whatever we need, which in Night March is super important. So, next we'll do our supporters. We are playing 1 Getsus. Your opponent reveals their hand and shuffles all item cards found there into his or her deck, and then you draw a number of cards equal to the number of item cards your opponent shuffled into their deck. This card is great turn 1, and great against very item-heavy decks, such as like in the Mirror. This card is fantastic. There are some decks where Getsus isn't going to be a great play against Turbo Turtles, things of that nature. A lot of the times you might just whiff the Getsus, but Getsus is a very powerful supporter in Expanded. 1 Guzma. Switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. If you do, switch your active with one of your bench. Since we're only playing, I believe, 1 Floatstone, this is going to help us get, pesky retreats out. It's also going to help us set up knockouts to take prizes with the Joltiks, the Marshadows, whatever the case may be. We are playing 1 Lysander, just to switch our opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. This way, we don't have to do the retreating, as long as we already have our attacker up front. 1 Hex Maniac. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, each Pokemon in play in each player's hand and each player's discard pile has no abilities. Hex is just that great play. Once you've used everything that you want to do for the turn, you just drop your Hex, and your opponent can't do anything next turn with their ability, so it helps slow them down a ton, especially against certain decks that are very ability reliant. Next up, we have one end. Each player shuffles his or her hand into his or her deck, and then each player draws a card for each of his or her remaining prize cards. We're only playing one. Now, expanded, you're going to notice all these one-up supporters simply because we have access to Versus Seeker and Battle Compressor. But with N, we need to be seeing as many cards as possible, so we're going to be playing more Sycamores, things of that nature. And since we take prizes very quickly, N can be very detrimental to us. And next up, 3 Sycamore, discard your hand, draw 7. We need to see as many cards as possible to get set up as quick as possible. And our last supporter is 1 Teammates. You can play this card only if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Search your deck for 2 cards, put them into your hand. Since Joltik has 30 HP, Punkaboo has 60, our stuff's going to get knocked out fairly easily and without fail. So, Teammates will allow us the turn after one of them gets KO to go search our deck for whatever pieces we may need. DCE, another Battle Compressor, the Float Stone, Choice Band, whatever we need. So next up, we'll go to our items, where we got 4 Battle Compressor, which is a staple for this deck. Search your deck for up to 3 cards and discard them. Shuffle your deck afterward. So this just lets us go put Night Marchers, Supporters, any dead cards in our deck into the discard pile. Our ace spec of choice will be 1 Dowsing Machine. Now, I've been a big advocate for Dowsing Machine for a while now. I played it in Daytona, and I definitely didn't regret it. I found it much more useful than Computer Search for Night March. And it was kind of cool seeing all these other big players go the Dowsing Machine route. So, we're going to roll with Dowsing Machine. Discard 2 cards from your hand. If you can't discard 2 cards, you can't play this card. Put a trainer card from your discard pile into your hand. This helps us get back puzzles, compressors, floatstone, whatever we need, we can get it out of the discard pile. Now we're playing 1 Field Blower. Choose up to 2 in any combination of tool cards and stadium cards in play and discard them. Just helps us get rid of those pesky tools and stadiums. Now you're playing 4 Puzzle of Time. You may play 2 Puzzle of Time cards at once. If you played 1, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. If you play 2 cards, put 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand. This card is fantastic in a lot of decks. Well, maybe not a lot, but some decks. Especially in Night March, though. So we play 2 puzzles at once and get back any 2 cards from the discard pile. It gets us set up for all kinds of great stuff. It gets us get our DCEs back, our Versus Seekers back, whatever we need. And we're playing a Special Charge to shuffle 2 Special Energy from our discard pile into our deck. Just lets us get our DCEs back. 3 Trainer's Mail. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You can reveal a trainer you find there, except for Trainer's Mail, and put it into your hand. Shuffle the other cards back. Just lets us tutor through our deck to get stuff that we might need. Of course, 4 Ultra Ball, discard 2 cards from your hand, search your deck for a Pokemon. So let's just get whatever we need. 4 Versus Seeker, put a supporter card from discard pile into your hand. Versus Seeker's been great every time it's been legal in any format. It just lets us get back whatever supporter that we need for that, turn to make whatever play we need to make. So of course we're going to be playing 4 of that. Our tools, we are playing, I can't see, 1 Choice Band, just to help us get 30 extra damage onto our opponent's GX or active EX to take those pesky knockouts. 1 Floatstone, the Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost. If we open Shaman, Lele, even Marshadow, Zorua, we want to probably get a Night Marcher up front, so we have that Floatstone if we need it. Our Stadium of Choice is going to be 2 Dimension Valley. Each psychic Pokemon attacks, both yours and your opponent's, cost 1 colorless less. So this allows Punkaboo to attack for just the DCE. Anyway, last but not least for the entire deck, we have our 4 DCE. And that's it. So, that's it for the deck profile, guys. Hopefully you'll see me in a few minutes as we go play some games. And as always, stay jolly.